All right. If you're a parent of a child with a disability, you've probably been handed this giant booklet of your rights, and it's just packed with legal jargon. It's a really important document, but let's be honest, it can feel pretty overwhelming. So in this explainer, we're going to translate that whole thing into a practical guide you can actually use.
At the end of the day, this is the big question we're here to answer, right? Look, disagreements happen. They're a totally natural part of working together. But when you know the rules of the road, you can turn what feels like a stressful conflict into a really productive conversation. Our goal here is to give you that clarity and confidence to handle those moments.
So here's our game plan. We've broken it down into 5 parts. First, we'll talk about the foundation, this idea of partnership. Then we'll get into your fundamental rights. We'll walk through the steps for resolving disagreements, tackle the tricky topic of student discipline, and then wrap it all up into your own advocacy toolkit.
Okay, first things first. We have to establish the most important principle of all this. The entire special education system is designed, from the ground up, to be a partnership. You're not an outsider looking in. You are an essential, equal member of your child's team. Period.
This quote really nails it. The child is the focus. Every single rule and procedure we're about to go over is just a tool to strengthen this partnership and to keep everyone's attention exactly where it should be, on your child's success. So, keeping that spirit of partnership in mind, let's dive into the ground rules. I want you to think of these as the first and most important tools in your advocacy toolkit. They are there to make sure you are always informed and always empowered. First up is something called prior written notice. Basically, this is your right to be officially kept in the loop. If the school wants to change your child's placement, or maybe they refuse a request you've made, they have to give you a written explanation of what they're doing and why. The whole point is to make sure there are absolutely no surprises. Next up, parental consent. And wow, this one is incredibly powerful. The school cannot do the first evaluation of your child or start providing special ed services for the very first time without your written permission. This literally puts you in the driver's seat for these huge first steps. So what happens if you disagree with the school's evaluation? Well, that's where the Independent Educational Evaluation, or IEE, comes into play. This is your right to get a second opinion from an outside expert who does not work for the school district.
And this number is so important. How many times can you ask for this? You are entitled to one IEE paid for by the school each and every time the district does an evaluation that you disagree with. So this isn't some one-time only card you can play. It's a right you can use whenever you feel it's needed.
Okay, so let's recap why these rights are so foundational. Notice keeps you informed. Consent puts you in control. And IE gives you that crucial second opinion. And running through all of this is a fourth key right, confidentiality, which makes sure your child's private information stays private.
So, you know your rights, but what happens when you still don't see eye to eye? Even in the best partnerships, conflicts pop up. The law actually anticipates this, and it provides a really clear path forward, one that's designed to solve problems at the earliest and most collaborative stage possible.
This path starts with the simplest steps first. Just an informal meeting to talk things over. If that doesn't quite get you there, you can ask for a facilitated IEP meeting or even mediation, where a neutral third party comes in to help guide the conversation. It's only after you've tried these collaborative options that you usually move to the more formal stuff.
Now, this chart breaks down the 2 main formal options, and it's so important to know the difference. A state complaint is for when you think the school has broken a special education law. A due process hearing, on the other hand, is for disagreements about your child's specific services, their identification, evaluation, placement, or what's called FAPE, a free appropriate public education. Knowing which is key to choosing the right path for your situation. And if you do go down the road of a due process hearing, this number becomes really important, 45 days. That's the typical amount of time a hearing officer has to make a final binding decision after all the initial meetings are done. It's a built-in deadline so the process doesn't just drag on forever.
All right, let's talk about a topic that can be incredibly stressful for any parent: student discipline. It is absolutely vital to understand that when a child has an IEP, a different set of rules applies. Your child has extra protections.
Pretty much everything here hinges on what's called the 10-day rule. A school can remove your child for up to 10 days in a school year. But as soon as you hit that 11th day, services have to be provided even if they aren't in their usual classroom. And if the removal is long enough to be considered a change of placement, that triggers a really critical meeting.
That meeting is called a manifestation determination. Sounds complicated, but its purpose is to answer one main question. Was the behavior caused by the child's disability, or was it because the school failed to implement the IEP? The answer to that question determines everything about what the school is legally allowed to do next.
Now, there are 3 exceptions, these special circumstances, where a school can immediately move a student to an alternative setting for up to 45 school days, no matter what the manifestation determination says. And these are for really serious infractions involving weapons, illegal drugs, or causing serious bodily injury.
Phew! We have covered a lot of ground. So let's pull it all together. Let's summarize the key tools you now have in your advocacy toolkit to really support your child.
So here's what you need to take away. First, you are an equal partner. Never forget that. Second, know your core rights. Notice, consent, and IEE. Third, use that path to resolution. Work collaboratively. And finally, understand the special protections your child has around discipline. These are not just rules on paper. They are your tools for being an effective advocate.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? This entire system is built on that idea of partnership. Knowing your rights isn't about gearing up for a fight. It's about preparing to be the most effective, informed, and collaborative partner you can possibly be for your child.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. You know, knowledge is the first step. The next step is using it to build an even stronger bridge, an even stronger partnership with your child's school. So how are you going to take what you've learned today and do just that?